Hello. It's been a minute since we got on here and shared anything, but I'm feeling it's necessary again to share my thoughts out loud. And when I started making videos, it was back in 2016, and my purpose at the time was to learn how to express myself. It was to help me get more verbal with my emotions and maybe better at my communication as far as like expressing how I'm feeling into words and sharing in general with other people, and to ultimately, get back to sharing how my experience and my relationship towards God has been growing over the years and how it started. So it was a combination of things that caused me to start making videos. And besides that, I was watching other videos of people sharing their testimonies. And I searched YouTube to find, I was trying to find information out about different religions. And that's pretty much when I started using YouTube a lot more, was back in 2016 and 2017. And so, I've changed a lot, obviously, and I've grown to have different opinions, and I've lost the interest in talking, making videos, because of my personal beliefs on the internet thing, and also on videos. There's so much stuff that we rely on now when it comes to technology. And so a combination of me being tired of it, and a combination of me being worried about it and wanting to, maybe fill in a gap somewhere that maybe some other people may find themselves in a gap, of like where I feel like I've been for a while. It's like we have this need to communicate, but we can't communicate with anybody because everybody's doing their own thing or not learning how to communicate. Some people don't have a desire to communicate with other people, and they go into a shell. Or other people are just, it just depends on what kind of human you are. Some people are more outgoing than others. Some people are withdrawn into themselves. And I kind of find myself in the middle of both, I guess, because it just depends. It just depends on my surroundings, I guess. It depends on, I think what it really comes down to is what I'm going through. What is going on in my life that causes me to either be more sociable or not sociable or whatever. And some things I can't express. Some things I have to express a lot. Sometimes I talk a lot when I'm going through stuff, and then other times I withdraw and I go into a quiet place with myself, and I, try to figure things out. And I think that having the internet, having YouTube to go to, and just like we can look anything up, you can Google anything, it doesn't matter. Anything and everything that you want is at your fingertips. And so I think for myself, I can see that as an addiction. I compare it to my addictions before, because it seemed like whatever I needed or whatever I wanted was at my fingertips. It was easily accessible. And so I overdid things. That's compulsive. I got compulsive behaviors. And I like to think now, some things have happened in my life, and I have felt myself going backwards. And it's been good, obviously, because I know that God is with me. And so that, definitely is a tremendous help. And I can't explain that to people. I can't explain it to people who don't have their own relationship with God. Okay, so that's kind of something else that I've learned is it's hard to share your faith with other people that don't have faith in God. So, that was a really hard learning curve for me. And I'll talk about that in other times. But I guess what, caused me to get onto this, maybe I should start sharing again, is because I have felt myself going backwards, like I said. And as I'm going backwards, it's like I've been having thoughts in my mind, like a repeat of, like a flashback of my past. And in ways like, do I really want to relive this? I went through all these things for nothing. If I continue to go backwards and pick up old habits or start thinking old bad thoughts, negative thoughts, how long will it take me to recover from that this time? And, unfortunately, we have to see a lot of horrible things before we actually start looking for hope again. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And that's why also I've changed the title to my channel several times. And whatever, I just I guess trying to find what it is. It's kind of like writing a book. Sometimes the story comes to you before the title comes to you, and sometimes the title comes but the story never comes. So if you are journaling, writing, like I think a lot of people do, and that's how I've always been with my writing. I'll either get a poem and not have a title, or sometimes I'll have a title for years and not ever have nothing to put with it, but when it comes, it's there. And so I think that's kind of the way my YouTube channel has been, as far as like when I change titles. It's went from Lady Trucker because I thought, I thought that I would be able to share more about my truck driving, but that's not really a dominant factor in my life right now. And it's just something that I do. That's what I do for a living. So I don't really talk about it as much as I could. I could talk about it a lot, but it's just it's not on my forefront of my mind all the time, because I'm going through things, I'm dealing with stuff. And so what I'm hoping to do, what I'm planning on doing, is talking a little bit more, making my channel more into like a verbal book. And I don't know how to explain that right now, but I'm going to keep the title Pieces of Hope, because that's what we need. That's what I need. I always need hope. And sometimes it feels like I don't have any hope, but I'm always grasping for hope at any way that I can, and in pieces. Okay. So that's why Pieces of Hope is what, that title came to me a long, long time ago when I was really broken in my addictions and I was literally hopeless. I really felt hopeless. And so, and a little bit of these videos, I'm going to be reading sometimes, and sometimes I'll just rattle on about whatever, if at all possible. Okay. But I think it'll help me maybe to read more, like read my journal entries, and maybe it will help me walk through the process of what I feel like is being taken away from us. And that is our humanity. And I know we have a spirit and we have a soul. And I think sometimes we either get too spiritual or too religious, or we get too much caught up in our flesh, like doing what we want, doing whatever feels good or whatever. And in a way, I think we degrade our humanity. Our bodies, yes, our flesh needs to have self-control, okay? We need the Spirit of God inside of us to have and to produce more of these fruits, okay? That is a fruit of the Spirit. One of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control, loving, kindness, all these other things. But so we can't like let our flesh be the ruler, okay? But I think there is a lot of dignity that we need to give to our bodies. And so what's been going on with me here a lot lately is just this: don't forget you're human, okay? Remember that you're human. And that's what I've been hearing inside me, is especially with AI, especially with the things that you're hearing, okay, that can cause fear, can cause anxiety or whatever. I have a good ear to hear my Father, okay? And when I hear my Father's voice among the chaos, I can't help but write it down. And I can't help but feel like it's something that I need to talk about, because somebody else may need to hear it. And I definitely believe that, because I see a lot of people struggling with being addicted to technology, okay? And so I'm not saying I'm not, because I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I'm seeking understanding, and I'm seeking truth, and I'm seeking knowledge and hope. I'm trying to find hope. There's nothing wrong with that. We try to find hope in many different ways. And so that's one of the things that I've been hearing a lot within me is remember that you're human. Okay? Because there's so many things right now. I don't even have the words for them right now. But there's a lot of things that are happening that may be causing us to forget that we're human. And that scares me because I remember being lost. I remember being in the darkness. I remember not being able to know what's right and what's wrong, and what's my purpose. I remember that feeling. And so I think some of this fear has drawn that up out of me again, and I'm just wanting to talk about it. So I'm going to read something that I wrote on December 5th and I journaled this. And then I'm going to get off here because I don't think that long videos will upload real easy. So, because I've made a couple videos that were like 25 minutes long, and within 2 days, it still wasn't uploaded. So I'm going to try to do short ones for now and see how that goes. But anyway, let's see. I titled this, it's called Losing Purpose. And that's just how I was feeling. Okay? That's usually how my journal entries will start, is by how I'm feeling. Okay? So losing purpose is how I felt on December 5th. And this is what I wrote. I said, time is moving so fast. It seems harder each season to gather my thoughts. But never say never, my grandma would tell me. And now I have found myself looking into Neverland. I never thought I would ever feel the way I do today, which is purposeless, in my career and in my journey to build relationships. I've spent most of my life struggling with parental role playing. And to me, that means that I played the parent a lot. I was unaware of it at the time, but I was 5 years old when my journey began being a parent. And I realized that it was only my need for a purpose. That's what kept me going. That's a long time. You know, from age 5 and now I'm 54, and I remember that. I remember being the big sister to my little sister and worrying about my mom when they got divorced. When my parents got divorced, I felt like I had to start controlling everything. I felt like I had to find the answers for everybody and take care of everybody. And, you know, if you can relate to that, then you know how overwhelming that is, especially for a child. And so I guess what, you know, the purpose of that little entry, the losing purpose, I guess what I was feeling is it's like if I don't have anything to take care of or anyone to take care of, I guess is what makes me feel like I'm losing my purpose. I'm trying to keep this screen on for lighting, I guess. But yeah, I don't like feeling purposeless, okay? And I don't think anybody does. So I guess that's all I wanted to share, was that, you know, if we forget that we're human, we're going to lose our dignity, we're going to lose hope, and then ultimately we're not going to realize what our purpose is. And I'm not here to tell you what your purpose is, and I may not even know what my purpose is. But like I said, it's losing the feeling of searching for a purpose. If you stop looking for your purpose, then you will feel like you're losing purpose. That makes sense? So we always got to be seeking our purpose, even if we don't know what it is, even if we never get there. But I know and I believe for my own self that things are going to be better on the other side. This place isn't forever home, and we have a better place to go than here. So that's my feelings today, and I hope that I can continue sharing these pieces of hope, because I certainly need them. I need them right now, even if it's just somebody listening to me, even if it does feel funny, you know, talking to the screen. But I think as time goes on, it ultimately helps me to reach out to others, and it also helps me to gain a desire back for self-control, okay? Because, you know, if you don't have any purpose, you know, what do you need self-control for if you don't have any purpose? If you don't have a goal, what do you need self-control for? You just do whatever, and then, you know, then it is literally whatever. So I'm just going to leave it at that. 19 minutes. I mean, if it takes 2 days for this to upload, guess what? I'm not going to upload it. It's just going to delete it. And we'll try again later. So have a good night. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.